Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show Podcast. Have we got an episode for you this week? Oh, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, as this week, we're going to be announcing our finalists for the Big Rab Show Awards. Now, just before we get into all of that stuff, we've got a lot of ground to cover before we even get that distance. So, yeah, stick with this. We've got a lot of news and updates. There's been a lot happening in the scene this week, and we need to get through all of it. Well, some of it good, some of it not so good, as I'm sure you'll have already seen. But we'll get into all of that, of course. First of all, let's get through our introductions, though, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, well, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And yeah, that old cliche, like every other podcast out there, we do have a Patreon. So if you do want to help support our show, you can. You can go over there, click on support, help us keep the wheels turning here. And as a wee thank you, you can get your mitts on loads of extra stuff. Yeah, you can get our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show, which goes out live here in Northern Ireland every single week. And people still don't know it exists. You know, we find ourselves with two audiences. We have our podcast audience that tune in every week, and we have our radio show audience that tune in every week. And none the twain shall meet. But sometimes you do. So, yeah, if you haven't checked out our Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show, I would urge you to do so. You can tune in online, live, as it happens. And yeah, we have 2 hours worth of bagpipe and goodness over there every week. And if you do happen to miss it live, well, that's a good incentive to go and join Patreon then, isn't it? Because then you can go and download it and listen whenever suits you. There is now, at this point, there is years worth of Big Rab shows on Fuse, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, countless Big Rab shows over there. You can download them all, and yeah, you could be listening for the next decade, I guess. There's loads back there. So yeah, shout out to our Patreon faithful. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for clicking on support. All right, that is kind of the plugs and all that stuff out of the way. Yeah, we kick off each and every Big Rab show with listener mail, and this week is no different. That email address has never changed from the outset. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Now, as you can imagine, our email box has still been filled to overflowing with all sorts of email, all to do with the Big Rab Show Awards. We got so many nominations, and we'll talk more about that later, but that's kind of what's been in our mailbox for the past few weeks, I guess. Nothing but Rab Show Awards. So we'll talk more about that later as we announce our finalists. But we did get asked a few other questions and stuff that I do want to get into. Obviously, a lot of the listener mail that we received is on a current situation with a Grade 1 big gun, and we're going to be talking about that in the news and updates. Got a lot of questions asked by people, and a lot of running commentary, and a lot of the rumour that has been flying around the scene as a result. Now, I know I'm being a bit cryptic, and perhaps if you're listening right now, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, stay tuned for the news and updates later. We'll be getting into the weeds with it. But all I wanted to say at this point with listener mail is we've got so many different stories, rumours, hearsay and conjecture almost sent through our listener mail this past week. I don't know what's going on. It seemed to be, I mentioned this last week about the rumour machine and how it's really went into overdrive this year. And this year, it's just off the chain. I've never seen a transfer season like it. Now, there's so many bands being talked about in the gossip world. It's kind of insane. I don't know what's going on. But, folks, I think our rule of thumb is to address all of the listener mail that we've got. Unless we hear the story from the person themselves or the band themselves or whatever, unless we get an official statement that we can hang our hat on to say this is factual, then we won't be reporting it here on the show. But we do appreciate your input, though. Genuinely, we all love a good chinwag in the bagpiping world. You heard this, you heard that, you heard the other. But, yeah, as for actual truth, is it actually factual? I don't know. And maybe this is a future topic of the week that we can get into, because sometimes, in fact, a lot of the time, a lot of these rumors and that are absolutely false and can be quite damaging. Yeah, and I'll leave that there. But I'm sure you guys have bound to have heard some controversial rumors and gossip and all the usual mumbo-jumbo at this time of year. And again, I would just stress, as much as it's fun to gossip behind the scenes, we very much will not be putting it out on the show here as actual fact, okay? So thank you for the listener mail. And, Rab, guess what I heard? I heard this happened and that happened and the other thing happened. You need to talk about that in your show, boy. No, unless we do get an official statement that reflects that you heard this, that, and the other, hey, bye. All right? So, and I don't know. I would just be a bit reluctant to engage with all of the rumor and the muck flinging that's flying at the minute. Now, not just about the situation we're going to be talking about in our news and updates, but everything else. It's not just our top flight, but see some of the lower grade bands as well, 4B, 4A, and upwards. Not just here in the UK, but international bands as well. I'm hearing all sorts of crazy stories of all sorts of breakups and bust-ups, and there's even legal battles involved in some cases, people being taken to court, and I don't know what's going on. Either you're watching way too much Netflix or something, and you're into all these dramatic dun-dun-dun, whodunit kind of thing. I don't know. But the rumor machine, folks, is absolutely in overdrive, and yeah, I hope that addresses this week's listener mail. There's been so much of it, and we're not going to address it on the show because we can't find any bona fide kind of statements or anything like that that actually backs up what we're hearing. So until we get that, then we will be mentioning it in the news and updates. All right? There you are. I hope that addresses it for listener mail this week. If you do want to send in your own listener mail, of course, bigrabshow@gmail.com. If you do have an absolutely verifiable story or something that you need to plug or promote, then absolutely do get in touch with us. bigrabshow@gmail.com. Another more positive thing that we've been working on is the Big Rab Show matchmaking service. We had a number of bands actually reach out to us, and they've been added onto our list who are busy in recruitment mode. We do know a number of bands out there that are actively seeking players, and we do have a few players on the roster that are still looking for bands. I've not yet been able to find one that's suitable in their own geographical location. And we do have players listed from the United States. We have maybe a handful from Canada. And again, maybe a half dozen or so from Australia and equally again from New Zealand. So we are looking around the globe, by the way, not just here in the UK. We have managed to sort out a few players here locally in Northern Ireland with some local bands here close to us. So we've sorted them out. Wanting to step back out onto the grass again, and now they've lifted sticks and chanter again and back into lessons. So who knows, they might see them in the circle next season. That'd be brilliant. So yeah, if you do want to avail of the Big Rab Show matchmaking service, then do get in touch with us. bigrabshow@gmail.com. It is always sort of percolating behind the scenes. We don't normally try to make a big deal of it because 9 times out of 10, the bands don't want to be, say, oh, we've used the Big Rab Show to get players. And also I'm aware that players don't want to advertise that they're perhaps heading back to the circle because then go, oh, hey, that boy hasn't played in 15 years. What's the crack? He's coming back again. Ooh! Or that kind of thing, right? Again, I'm talking about the rumor machine. So, yeah, if we can help, Big Rab matchmaking service is happening. It's there. We do have listings of bands and players, and we are doing our best to match everybody up. So shout out to the Rab Show team. We are working on this behind the scenes. And yes, we are very discreet. We are not advertising who, what, where, and when, but we will do our best to help everyone. There you are. All right, so plug the matchmaking service, plug the Patreon, the listener mail. What's next, you may ask? Well, it's time for Weekly Drone, one of our favourite segments on the show. And yeah, we are starting to run out of ones on the shelf, although we do still have a wealth of them. We don't have one this week. We have a couple, I think. Yeah. Don't forget, if you do want to send us in your own weekly drone, of course you can do. You can go to our website, thebigrabshow.com. There's a big button at the top of the page, big red button that says Weekly Drone. You can let us know your thoughts and feelings on anything we've spoke about on this show or any other previous show for that matter, or anything in the piping world. Let us have it. All right. JD, time for this week's Weekly Drone, mate. Let us have it.
It's the Weekly Drone.
Wildly different placements from the piping judges. Yo, Big Rab. I don't know if you'll be revisiting the topic of huge differences between the two piping judges scoring bands, but our band's recent experiences with the live recording adjudication at our local games sure sheds light on how it could happen. A couple of years ago, we had scores of both first and last, 7th place, in piping, at a contest, and like you and many others, wondered just what the hell was going on. Well, this past April's performance at the same contest with live recordings and judges' comments in real time, we got to hear what the judges were hearing as they moved around while the band was playing. Listening to the recording, you could tell they couldn't hear completely across the band, so one judge would hear a mistake, but the other judge would miss it. We did place first in that contest with both judges, by the way. Now, imagine one judge hearing no mistakes as he moves around, but the other judge on the other side picks up all the mistakes as he moves around the opposite side. One judge's perspective was near perfection, the other that of blooters and squawks. And there you have a perfectly valid reason for such big differences in scoring. Very eye-opening that was. Keep on with the fine coverage for us piping folk. Cheers.
Thank you, Weekly Droner. That was interesting. Yeah, that was talking about the audio judging. Now, I do know there's a number of competitions have used that in the States. I think notably by the Midwest Pipe Band Association, they've been using that. And it seems to have paid dividends there and has absolutely answered a question that we've had here on the show before, countless times. Now, what happened? One judge had first, the other one 7th. You know? Hey, whenever you get the opportunity to kind of listen back and hear it happen right in front of you, this is what the judge heard, then, hey, I don't know. I think this system sort of pays for itself, doesn't it? You know, I don't know. Perhaps this is just me, but I do believe now, this is what, 2025, and we're still using pen and paper. Technology has considerably moved on. And yeah, as we've just mentioned there now, that system right there has just paid for itself. It removed that argument where the band could actually hear what the judge heard and go, well, fair enough. That side of the band there was a bag of bottles. It was awful. But, you know, and it removes room for doubt, you know? So, I don't know. Will we see this system roll out further across all competitions in the world of piping? Who knows? I think, in some regard, having the mystery there is a fun thing because we can all speculate, you know? We go, oh, well, what did they hear? Was there an issue? Was there a big flub somewhere where someone went into the wrong part or something? Or, you know, but it's the speculation element of it all that makes it fun. Do you know what I mean? We're guessing. But if you remove that doubt, and that kind of dispels all of the, oh, we should have won kind of thing. Oh, well, fair enough. We heard the recordings. Yeah, that was rubbish, you know? So, yeah, Weekly Droner, that was incredibly interesting. And I will hopefully hear more news about this, audio judging system. I'm aware that RSPBA headquarters last year spoke about this. Oh, no, not last year. The start of this year. Yeah, January, February time. It seems like forever ago. Where they first talked about this and they're actually investigating it. And now, at the time, they didn't completely throw it out the door, but they did want to run like a feasibility study on it. They wanted to see just how much it was going to cost and all of that, the initial setup and all of that, and will it actually be practical? Will the judges actually be able to use it efficiently, especially on the day of a major championship, when you consider the amount of performances, the amount of crit sheets that need to be produced and coordinated? Yikes, it's a huge task. So will that system be up for the task? Yeah, that's what the feasibility study is all about. So I'm hopeful. Yeah, the technology is there. In my opinion, gone are the days of pen and paper. And the tech is there to help us, Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get an AI to judge a pipe band competition. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, okay, what do you call it? Chat GPT, one of them things. Right, who wins the European Championships today? Go. That could be interesting, eh? Well, I'll tell you this now. I have used AI a few times. Not many, but I have used it in conjunction with the Rab Show Podcast, and I have asked it for podcasting ideas. And let's say this. It's absolutely terrible. Oh, yeah. AI and the bagpiping world don't seem to mix very well. I don't think ChatGPT is a piping fan. Who knows? It might get better with time. But it's certainly, I don't know. Not piping fan. All right, let's move on. We're talking about AI now. Thank you, Weekly Droner. JD, I believe we've got another one on the shelf, mate. Let us have it.
It's the Weekly Drone.
World's Tannoy. Rab, after we stood for an eternity and did the big Braveheart charge to the front, tripping over drums, etc. as we went, the tannoy system was really poor. We couldn't hear it up the back for bands, so no idea how the crowd at the back could hear. How difficult is it to have a competent speaker system?
Yeah, Weekly Droner, that's a fair point. We didn't mention this in our World's Wrap-Up, but it is absolutely a fair point. Now, I was lucky. Where I was standing with Tully Lagan Pipe Band, we were reasonably close to the front. We were about halfway up. Now, we did experience what you mentioned there about tripping over drums and harnesses and all sorts of madness. It was a bit of a battlefield, You were just like clambering over people at one point in the mass band. It was a bit chaotic. But as for the actual sound system in Glasgow Green for the big announcement, it is such an important moment. And I'm so grateful that the piping world are silent for that moment, because if they weren't, I don't believe you would have heard anything. Yeah. Now, I've been at some huge open-air concerts in my time. I'm sure a lot of you listening right now probably have been to open-air concerts before yourselves. And there's been times where people come on even just to announce the act that's coming on stage. And they go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. And now that announcement would blow the head off your shoulders. It's like ridiculously loud. But could we have the similar system for the worlds? Please. I completely agree with our Weekly Droner. It was so quiet. Yeah, and let's face it, us pipe banders, we're a rowdy bunch at the best of times. And whenever you've been in the beer tent for an hour or two that evening, perhaps having a bit of crack with your bandmates and stuff, and incredibly difficult to hear what was going on stage. But whenever the results were being read, I have to say, that, especially first, second, third, it was relatively legible, I guess. You could just about hear it. But I did feel genuinely sorry for the ones who were maybe a bit further back, because it was very difficult to hear. So, yes, that is definitely a criticism for the event. I hope Glasgow Life are listening right now. Probably not. But, yes, please do bring in a better sound system so we can actually hear the announcement. Yeah, very important moment that. You need to share it with the entire park. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe get a huge system like they do for a live gig or something and go, ladies and gentlemen, in first place with the Jubilee Trophy and banner. Yeah, so we can all hear it. All right. Thank you, Weekly Droner. Much appreciated. Now, we do have a few more on the shelf, so we'll have more Weekly Drone next week, of course. But, you can always send in your own Weekly Drone as well, just to give it another shameless plug. Let's put JD to work, shall we? Yeah, with all of this rumour and all the the dung flinging that's going around, I'm sure there's bound to be a weekly drone or two out there. So, go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, hit the button at the top of the page saying weekly drone. It's an open microphone to the bagpiping world without fear of recrimination. So have at it. Let us have your weekly drone this week. Okay, folks, that's it for our introductions. I think it's time for me to go and get a wee break at this point, but I'll be right back with all of this week's news and updates.
Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk.
Okay, it's time to get into the news and updates. And you knew the story that I was going to lead with. In case you haven't heard the news, I don't know. This dropped on October 12th, and honestly, you talk about a bombshell in the competitive world. Closkelt announced on the 12th of October that the band will be dissolving. Yeah, they put out a statement on their social media, on their Facebook page, and all across socials to let people know of the decision. Now, the statement that came out from the pipe band was from the horse's mouth, from pipe major David Chesney. In the lead up to this, again, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, the rumour machine had kicked into overdrive, and I'd heard a million different stories. And since this announcement from Closkelt, it seems to have completely opened the floodgates, and the stories have just gotten worse. So I want to stick to the facts here, okay? No matter how many emails we've received on this, and thoughts and opinions, there are plenty, I do want to stick to the facts with this. Let's look at Closkelt's actual statement that they published on their socials on October 12th. It says, "It's with deep regrets that I announced the formal dissolution of the Closkelt pipe band with immediate effect." Now, this decision was not made lightly. However, following the conclusion of the 2024-25 season, it had become clear that the band can no longer continue as a competitive unit due to a combination of internal and external factors. Now, as to what those factors are, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. I'm not a member of the band. And I think this is where the rumor machine is kicking in. What were those internal and external factors? A million different stories are rife at the moment. So you can draw your own conclusions in that regard. But we have talked about this in previous Rab shows about just how challenging it can be to keep a competitive band in the circle. Never mind in the top flight. We've seen examples of pipe bands that have had to take years out. like the Federation band, for example. They're one band that had to step aside for a full season to rebuild. And, well, thankfully now we're going to see them returning back to the circle. We spoke about that in a previous pod. But, Closkelt Pipe Band could not keep the wheel turning here. Looking at the statement again, it says, all current members have been invited to an in-person meeting this week, where both myself and Jonathan hope to personally thank each of them for their dedication and hard work, both during this past season and throughout their time with the band. Now, I have it on good authority that in-person meeting has happened. I've seen little photographs and stuff of it taking place on social media, and honestly, it's heartbreaking, where the members of the band are basically saying goodbye to each other. It truly is an end of an era. I know we use that term a lot here on the podcast. We use it when the likes of Jack Lee has decided to step away from Simon Fraser, or whenever Richard Parks retired, etc. It is an end of an era when things like this happen. And in this case, an entire Grade 1 big gun is stepping away from the circle. And I think we're all the poorer for it. Moving on, it says, while today marks a sad milestone for Closkelt, and undoubtedly for many others across the competition circuit, I do wish every member the very best in their future musical and personal endeavours. It has been my privilege to serve as the pipe major of Closkelt Pipe Band for over 15 years, from our victory at Grade 4B in the Worlds in 2011. I actually remember that well. Wow. Through the years of progress, culminating in our promotion to Grade 1 in 2019, and on to competing amongst the world's elite for the past 4 seasons. What a journey it's been. To every member, past and present, our faithful supporters, and to all of our supporters, thank you. Your commitment and passion made the band what it is. Closkelt was never just a band. It was a family, united through music and shared ambition. David goes on to say, it has been both my honour and the band's pleasure to share our music over this past 16 years, and we leave with many cherished memories and enormous pride in what we have achieved together. With sincere thanks and best wishes for the future, Pipe Major David Chesney. Now, I'm not being melodramatic here. Some of my favourite performances over this past few years have come from Closkelt. Last season, if anything, my favourite medley performance of the entire year was whenever they performed their medley at the Ards and North Down Championships. You know, a small competition whenever you consider some majors that Closkelt have been in, but that run at that competition absolutely blew me away. They were absolutely singing. Wow. And since then, they've really been cooking. And this past year at the Worlds, again, just another difficult year. Now, there's been articles published about this, actually, in the national press here in Northern Ireland, and, of course, all across regular piping outlets, where there's been all sorts of, well, they've went down all sorts of different avenues, I guess, and perhaps turned this into more of an opinion piece than what the actual news story is meant to be. What I mean by that is that a lot of the editors who have published the story, they get into the weeds a little as to what could have caused this. And let's look at the example of what other bands have done, for example, and how the top flight can be the real pressure cooker in which it is, and can be the making and breaking of some bands. And yeah, I think that line in their press release here, the combination of internal and external factors, that is the grey area in which the rumour machine is going to churn. And folks, yeah, ourselves in the Big Rab Show, we've mentioned it before, we're not really going to pay much attention to the rumour. Okay, we have this statement from the band giving us the fact as to what happened. Now, I'm looking at social media through some of the members and stuff they have been posting on their socials, saying about how awful this is, and of course from that meeting that happened through the week there, where the members were quite tearful and emotional, and yeah, just saying goodbye to each other. Just heartbreaking stuff. So, yeah, I know we've said it. It is the end of an era. I am a huge fan of Closkelt and their music, and I will deeply regret their disappearance from the competition circuit, for sure. I've played a lot of their music over the years, and I've really sung their praises. Like I mentioned, it was one of my favorite sets of 2024 was Closkelt. So, yeah, it's with deep regret that I'm going to miss them this year. Now, not only am I expressing my regret and the piping fans and all of that, you guys have been doing that too, but also a lot of their competition have been doing this as well. Have you seen it? The outpouring of support from other bands within that Grade 1 circle. Yeah, just wishing them their best support and thank you for the competition all these years, So that has been heartwarming. If anything, that's one of the things I take from this situation. As incredibly sad and as negative as this is for all Closkelt fans, it's immensely positive from the point of view that a lot of our piping scene are now gathering together to help support each other through this awful situation. Yes, this is now the proof in the pudding that we know how difficult it can be to keep a pipe band going, especially in that top flight pressure cooker, where we have seen other articles published online about other bands that are, well, let's face it, they are looking for, new lead drummers. They're looking for more members to try to keep their band afloat. Yeah, it's going to be, a very difficult winter for some bands, in my opinion. Looking at the Big Rab Show matchmaking service, there certainly seems to be a wealth of bands that are in recruiting mode at the moment, but there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of players who are willing to pick up the instrument and start playing again. Now, obviously, COVID and the pandemic had a huge impact on that. And let's face it, Closkelt got upgraded in 2019 and then whammo, everything stopped. And yeah, talk about terrible timing, I guess. So yeah, we missed an entire season where Closkelt could have been in that circle thumping out tunes, and who knows where we would have been now. Could have built a head of steam, and then here we are, 2025. The band could have been absolutely roaring. You just don't know. But if anything, the tail is on the tape, I guess. And yeah, good luck to everyone else that is right now in recruitment mode. I know there's a lot of you out there. And yeah, I hope to not be reading any further stories like this, where a pipe band has decided we can't do it. We have to pull the plug. So, yeah, bands like the 78th Highlanders and Johnstone, the pipe band, are both seeking lead drummers. I think the 78th Highlanders, they've took a season out, actually, similar to the Federation. So I am hopeful that the 70th Highlanders will be back again in that circle very soon. But I don't know, folks. This is absolutely awful news. There's no way to sugarcoat this. Normally, I do try to come on the podcast and try and give the silver lining here. And I guess the only silver lining here is how the piping world has come together on this one. I think we are all in agreement with this, that this absolutely sucks. There's no positive to take from this. It's a horrible situation, and my heart goes out to all of Closkelt bands, every one of the members. I have a good number of personal friends involved with Closkelt, and this is truly heartbreaking for everyone. All the time, effort, sacrifice, finance, all that, all of it that went into making this band as musical and as incredible to watch as it was. It's just horrible to speak about it in the past tense now. Yeah. Well, this week on Fuse FM Ballymoney, this incoming week, be prepared. We'll be talking all about the Big Rab Show Awards, of course, because we're about to announce our finalists later on in the pod, but be prepared. I'm going to be thumping out so much Closkelt next week. You're all going to be sick of listening to Closkelt by the time next week's Fuse FM show is done. Yeah. So, yeah, again, to any Closkelt member that is listening to the pod, I do know a good number of you do tune in each week. A huge thank you for all of the music, genuinely. And for all of your effort, hard work. It has not gone unnoticed, Us fans of the music have been really enjoying a wealth of it from your band, and it's just been fantastic to watch your journey. So, from that regard, we'll leave it there. Okay, so on to more positive fare, I guess. Now, we're going to try and keep the news and updates pretty brief this week because we've got quite a big topic to get into, of course, announcing our finalists. And, of course, this weekend is the World Solo Drumming Championship. We spoke all about it on last week's podcast. We went through the draw all of that stuff. And we're still getting questions about live streams from the World Solos. No, ourselves in the Big Rab Show, we will not be live streaming it, but we are hopeful that this will be live streamed on the RSPBA YouTube channel. If that is the case, we will certainly share out that link so you can go and join the live stream and catch all the action. Yeah, but I hope that answers your questions. No, ourselves and the Rab Show won't be streaming the solos this weekend, but we are hopeful that the RSPBA will be doing that themselves. So, we'll wait and see. But good luck to everyone that will be competing this weekend in Glasgow. Have a good tune. And we'll be hopefully reading out your name next week as a possible silverware winner. There you are. Good luck to everyone at the solos. Right, also to remind you, the Scots Trad Music Awards nominations are still open right now. Yes, now I'm going to be very shameless again this week. We really want to be nominated this year. Oh, that's not have any bones about it. But yes, nominations are open right now, but they are closing soon. All right? Yes, they close on the 19th of October. So depending on when you're listening to this, you may have ran out of time, depending on when you're tuning in. But right now, at the point of me recording this, the Scots Trad Music Awards 2025, the nomination process is currently open. And we would really love it if you could nominate the Big Rab Show for trad music in the media. You may remember, I think it was 2022. I was trying to think back as to when it was, actually. I think it was back then. 2022, when the Big Rab Show was first nominated for this, and you talk about an absolute honor. Seriously. For those who don't know, the Trad Music Awards, Scots Trad Music Awards, is kind of seen as like the Oscars of the trad music scene. So to even be in the room is a huge achievement. So ourselves, we've been there, done that now. It's absolutely brilliant. We didn't win. Okay, but at least to be there was something special, to have the Big Rab Show name up in lights, to represent our bagpiping world in such a cool way. It was just fantastic, And anyone who asked us questions, and who are you guys? What do you do? We're the Big Rab Show. We talk about everything bagpiping because bagpiping is class, And we could have been sitting in a room full of fiddle players or... whistle or flute players. We're all talking about bagpiping all night. Brilliant. So, folks, if you do enjoy our show in any way, any of our content or reporting that we've done over this last, I don't know how many years, then, please do head over, handsupfortrad.scot. Follow all the links for the Scots Trad Music Awards, and, nominations are open now. Our particular category that we're interested in is category number 21. Yeah, so please, go on over there. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it's completely free. And drop in your nomination for the Big Rab Show for trad music in the media, category number 21 of the Scots Trad Music Awards. We would really appreciate it. And we hope to be reading it out here on the show that we're going back to the trads. Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't know. I'm not wanting to count my chickens because, that's a very tall order. But we are asking for your support. If you would like to, you can. Go on over there and drop us in a nomination. And who knows? Who knows? The world's our oyster. All right, let's fly on. Okay, I'm going to briefly give a bit of a shout out to the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band, who had their huge fundraising concert there this past weekend. Of course, I was there, no show without punch. I was the compere of the evening, so I was keeping the whole thing moving along as best I could, entertaining folks in between acts and stuff. So I have to say, the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band were absolutely brilliant. They sounded really, really strong. And if anything, the membership of the Queen Elizabeth Band has actually swelled a little since I last seen them. The last time I seen the Queen Elizabeth Band was at the Worlds, actually. Yeah. And, looking at them now, they definitely have more within the ranks. And the band themselves really sounded incredible. If you haven't seen any of the videos from that concert, go and check it out, especially their finale piece where they done In Christ Alone. They sung it and they played it. It was goosebumps stuff. It was so cool. What an ending to the show. So go and check it out. And a huge shout out to the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band. Congratulations on one heck of a season. Being upgraded, of course. And for throwing this fantastic concert. Well done, everyone. Yeah. Okay, I have to give a little mention to St. Lawrence O'Toole Pipe Band, who threw a bit of a weekend practice and uploaded lots of photographs from it. Now, Yeah, this is transfer season, and we do know that it's around this time of year where a lot of us would kind of delve through those photographs to see if we see any familiar faces. I'm sure I wasn't alone. They posted it onto their socials on October 13th, and the caption reads as follows. After a disappointing result at the Worlds, we've strengthened across the board with several exciting new members joining every section of the band. And their first practice was held this past weekend in Dublin, and their focus is now improving in the areas that held them back last season and coming back stronger. Ooh. Yeah, we're determined to right the wrongs of 2025. Now, to be fair, I don't think St. Lawrence O'Toole had many wrongs in 2025. I honestly loved their sets this year. I had, really high hopes. I was absolutely a fan of their music this year. So, they weren't clicking in the results, and I don't know why. The World Championships was a weird one for St. Lawrence. They just seemed to come off the boil. Don't know what happened there, but for St. Lawrence fans, it was a bit of a head scratcher going, what happened? What's going on? It's like somebody took the batteries out. It was odd. Just odd. But anyway, the Worlds is behind them, and they have new members within the ranks. Now, that has encouraged every pipe bander out there to delve through those photographs. And you can go through them. I actually, no joke, I know some people that have been zooming in on all the rest to try and see, is that them? Is that that's that boy? I know that boy. Right, etc. Right? So loads of people have been at it this weekend. St. Lawrence O'Toole know what they're doing. Uploading these little teaser photos. It's very cool. So it's great to see them around the table on pads and chanters and working away already, Mad to see, but there you go. No rest for the wicked there. So good luck, St. Lawrence O'Toole. I don't believe you had any wrongs in 2025. That's my opinion. And I'm very hopeful for 2026. Looking forward to seeing and hearing the new music next season from St. Lawrence. Yeah. Okay, so before we get into the news and updates, I'm going to very briefly start to plug this. We are very slowly starting to see announcements for Celtic Connections next year. Yeah, I know this is October and Celtic isn't until January of next year, but we're starting to see some huge announcements for Celtic Connections already. Huge shout out to Ross Miller, who's announced his full band will be playing at Celtic next year, so that's exciting. We're also seeing little whispers about Ali Hutton, possibly Ross Ainsley as well will be in the mix there somewhere, and we've yet to hear any details about a possible pipe band concert as part of Celtic Connections. So it's a huge festival. No doubt we'll continue to hear more announcements as we get closer to it, because this is a bit far out, I guess. It's really early at this point. But shout out to Ross Miller and to others who've announced their gigs and stuff coming up at Celtic. Looking forward to that. Celtic Connections next year runs from the 15th of January through to February 1st. And full details on who's playing where, I hope will be on their website soon. Now, as I say hope, because it's not actually listed yet. But for full details, go and check the website. Hopefully it will be updated in the near future. And looking forward to seeing how this lineup develops. Yeah, especially from a piping perspective. Yeah, a lot to enjoy. Okay, so I've done my best to kind of, finish on a positive. Yeah, it's difficult to do given such horrible news about one of our favourite pipe bands here on the show, Closkelt. Yeah, so I think with that note, this is going to be quite a special podcast this week, and it's a celebration of our bagpiping world. So let's kick things up a notch then, shall we? It's time for me to go and get myself a big cup of tea, and I'll be right back with our huge Big Rab Show Awards announcement.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies, for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Hello, this is Fred Morrison, and you're listening to the Big Rab Show.
Okay, folks, it's finally time. You've waited until this point in the show, or for those of you who have hit fast forward, for shame. You've missed a good majority of the show with a lot of great news and updates, so okay, fair enough. Everyone's itching to find out who our finalists are. So you can listen to this, but then please do hit rewind and listen to the news and updates. There's a lot of ground to cover there. Yeah. But, okay, for those of you who have waited patiently, thank you. And for those of you who hit fast forward, all right, let's get into it. It's time to announce our finalists for the 2025 Big Rab Show Awards. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Big Rab Show Awards are back again. And we need to talk about the amount of nominations we received this year. Genuinely, I think this is a record-breaking year for the Big Rab Show Awards. Every year this thing gets bigger, and I just don't know why or how it gets better every year. I don't know, it's insane. This year, we literally received thousands of nominations. All right, so for all of our categories, we have managed to whittle it down. Out of thousands of nominations for each category, I have to be honest, the Big Rab Show team, we were counting for days, and we verified each one. It took forever, but we now have it finally whittled down to a final 4 in each one of our appropriate categories. So let's start first of all with our first category, which is Most Improved Band. Dramatic. All right, let's get into it. Our finalists for Most Improved Band are Tullylagan, Grade 4B Band. Woohoo! Yeah, I know, that's my own band. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Tullylagan receiving a nomination here, for Most Improved Band. We also have the Uplanders Pipe Band in there as well. Congratulations. Yes, we also have New Ross and District. Yeah. And we have Drumlock Pipe Band. There you go. So that's your Most Improved Band category. We have Tullylagan, Grade 4B. We have Uplanders Pipe Band, New Ross and District, and Drumlock. There you go. So that's Most Improved Band. Let's fly on. Our next category then, Best Tenor Flourishing. Who's our finalist for those? A lot to consider here. Yeah, and again, a wealth of pipe bands out there with brilliant tenor cores. It's very creative flourishing. So let's get into our finalists then. Who made the cut? Yeah, Inverarian District. Woo! Of course. Yes, Inverarian District, receiving lots of nominations in this one, but this category was quite tight, actually, because also in here in our finalists, we have People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia. Yes. Then we have Police Scotland Fife Pipe Band as well. Really love their tenor core. Yeah. And then we have Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia as well. So we have 4 Grade 1 big guns in here, duking it out for Best Tenor Flourishing. Yeah, not bad. Not too bad at all. All right, we're making good progress here. That's 2 categories out of the way. Let's get into Best Venue. Now, as you can imagine, this season, we've been at quite a number of great venues, and a lot of them worthy of attention. Now, a lot of the nominations we received also were international. We got quite a number of nominations for venues in the United States and for in New Zealand as well. You got a lot of New Zealand venues as well. Anyway, did they make it through to the final cut? Let's find out. Who's our finalists then for Best Venue? Ooh, Best Venue finalists for 2025 is, well, kicking things off, of course, the obvious choice. Glasgow. For the World Pipe Band Championships, receives another worthy nomination, I guess, for Best Venue. A popular choice. We also have in here Perth for the European Championships. Yes, again, receiving a wealth of nominations here. Very popular venue for the Euros. Yeah. Also receiving a final nomination in here for Best Venue, we have Derry / Londonderry for the All-Ireland Championships. Yes, Ebrington Square there. Again, very popular destination for this year's All-Irelands. Everyone really seemed to love it. There you go. Also receiving a nomination in here for Best Venue, we have Dumbarton for the Scottish Championships. Woohoo! Actually, one of my favourite venues. Although, every time I've ever been to Dumbarton for the Scottish, it's always lashed out of the heavens. But that doesn't take away from it being a great venue. That's just crappy weather, I guess. But hey, Dumbarton, that's one of our finalists in here for Best Venue. So there you go. Our finalists so far, we have Glasgow for the Worlds, Perth for the Euros, and Derry/Londonderry for the All-Irelands, and we have Dumbarton for the Scottish, and that's Best Venue. We're flying through here at a rate of knots, but we're not done. Let's get into the next one then. Who is our finalist then for Best Dressed? Ooh, and the piping world holds its breath. Who is the best dressed pipe band out there? Well, we've got it down to a final 4. And we have the Field Marshal Montgomery getting a nomination. Well done, the mighty FM. Yes, they are quite impressive when you see them on the march there. Very cool. We also have the Royal Army of Oman. Yes. Now, to be honest, I really love this band's uniform. So striking, and you can see it from across the park, but very smartly turned out. Yeah, Royal Army of Oman, worthy nomination in there. We also have a third nomination in here for the Glasgow Sky Association Pipe Band. Go on, the Sky! Yoo-hoo! Go on, the Sky! There you are, getting a nomination for Best Dressed. Well done. Also, we have another nomination. Our fourth one for Best Dressed is Clogher and District. Yes. Now, do you know what? I actually really like their tartan. Now, I don't know what tartan it is, so I'm going to have a look at that. But yeah, very cool. Very smart. Yeah, so there you go. That's your 4 for Best Dressed. Field Marshal, Royal Army of Oman, Glasgow Sky, and Clogher and District. There you go. All right, next one. Now, I'm sure this one kind of caused a lot of arguing around the kitchen table, but yes, our next category is Best Competitive Band Medley Performance. Now, who is our 4 finalists in this? This is an interesting one. Now, obviously, I have to say obviously, because this was definitely a very popular choice. We've spoke about it on Fuse FM Ballymoney now for weeks. Yeah, receiving a nomination in here is Inverary and District and their Dream Valley medley that they played at the World Championships on the Saturday. Yes, there you are. A lot of people absolutely loved that set and gave it a nomination, it appears. So here they are, reaching it through to the final of the Big Rab Show Awards. Yes, but joining them also is the Field Marshal Montgomery. Yes, on their special tribute medley that they played at the All-Ireland Championships this year. Now, I was there. I was there, and oh my word, did they blow my socks off. That, if you haven't heard that yet, go back and have a listen to it. It's a thumper, as they say. So yes, receiving a nomination. Also, in our nomination in here for Best Competitive Band Medley Performance, we have Texo, D-Side Caledonia, and their performance at Dumbarton. Now, this is a cracker, by the way. I have went back and listened to it. Yeah. Since we had the final list drawn up, it was finalised just yesterday. I did spend a bit of time looking through on YouTube and different recordings and stuff and managed to find this one and got a listen. And hey, I can't disagree with you, folks. It's a cracker. So yeah, shout out to D-Side Caledonia, their full title, Texo, D-Side Caledonia. And their worthy nomination for Best Competitive Band Medley Performance. Yeah. Also receiving a nomination in here to make it into the final 4, we have Shots and Dykehead Caledonia and their World Championship medley performed on the Saturday. Yeah, now that was a blistering performance as well. Yeah, so I don't know, folks. I don't know. Let the arguing commence, I guess. So, Best Competitive Band Medley Performance. We have that Inverary Dream Valley medley. We have the Field Marshal with their tribute medley at the All-Irelands. We have Texo D-Side Caledonia and Dumbarton. And we have Shots and Dykehead Caledonia at the Worlds on the Saturday. There you are. Some real good medley performances there. Go and have a listen to all 4 there and make up your mind. All right, let's fly on. We're flying through these. All right, I haven't even mentioned anything about voting or that yet. We'll get into that in a second or two. First of all, I want to get into coolest bass drum. Who's made it through to the final 4? Ooh. And our final nominees are, for coolest bass drum, we have the Uplanders Pipe Band. Yes, Uplanders, honestly, quite a cool bass drum. I did manage to go and have a look at the drum itself. Yeah, I can see it. I know now why they got the nomination. Very cool. Also, I've mentioned these guys on the radio a few times about their bass drum. Drumlock Pipe Band receiving a nomination for coolest bass drum. It is pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, it's got flames and stuff. It's very dramatic. Really cool bass drum. So yeah, shout out to Drumlock. Yeah, worthy nomination there, coolest bass drum. Also in here in the final four, we have the Glasgow Sky Association Pipe Band. Yes, their bass drum, really quite distinctive, actually. It's one of those drums you could sort of pick out from across the park and go, oh, there's the sky over there. You know what I mean? And they could be way the other side of the park. So yeah, shout out to Glasgow Sky. Coolest bass drum nominee. Also, we have a nomination in here for Clocker and District. Yeah, a lot of people really loving Clocker's bass drum. There you go. So, yeah, that's your final four there for coolest bass drum. The Uplanders Pipe Bands, Drumlock, Glasgow Sky Association, and Clocker and District. There you go. Now, we're about to get into Drum Major of the Year. But before we do, I do want to mention, actually, about the voting. Okay? Always people seem to ask tons of questions. Where do I go to vote? Well, right now, at the point of you listening to my voice on this podcast announcing our finalists, you can go right now to thebigrabshow.com. All right? You'll see a massive big button at the top of the page saying, click here to vote now. That's it. That's all you need to do. Click on that and you'll see the voting table, and you can click and vote for whoever you like. And then at the end of it, we do ask you to supply us with an email address, because every vote with an email address will get counted. Everyone that doesn't have an address will get discarded. Okay? It's that simple. That's the way the system works. It uses an email address to verify you are an actual person and not just a bot that's clicking vote every 2 seconds. So, yeah, we need an email address to verify it's an actual vote, and that's it. But once your details come through, that email address is not used for anything. Don't worry. It's not stored anywhere. It's not used for any spam or nothing like that. It's just there to verify that you are an actual person, and then, your vote will get counted. So, the Big Rab Show Awards, as much as this is the important part of, getting through to the final four in each one of these categories, but, your votes do mean the world at this point. Every single vote counts that has an email address. You'll know what I mean whenever you see it. So go to bigrabshow.com. You can click on the big button that says click here to vote now. And you can vote for your favorites. So we've already, we've went through most improved band, best tenor flourishing, best venue, best dressed, best competitive band medley performance, coolest bass drum. And we're about to get into the Drum Major of the Year category. Oh, Rab, who made it through to the final four for the Drum Majors? Right. Our finalists for Drum Major of the Year are Louise Smyton from Closkelt. Yes, she receives a nomination this year. Well done, Louise. We also have Charlotte Adamson from the Major Sinclair Memorial. Go on, the Sinclair. Go on, Charlotte. Yeah, there you go. Also receiving a nomination, we have Holly Gracie from Clocker and District. Go on, the Clocker. Yoo-hoo! Go on, Holly. Yeah, and we also have Jamie Couples from Ravara. There you go, of course, our current world champion. Go on, Jamie. There you are. So that's your final four in there for Drum Major of the Year. We have Louise Smyton, Charlotte Adamson, Holly Gracie, and Jamie Couples. There you are. Okay, moving on. Coolest drums. Now, let's say this, before we even get into this category, I do believe 2025 has been a good year for drums. Hasn't it, though? There's been so many bands out there with really, really good sets of drums. They all seem to be really, color coordinated, I think, with the uniforms and stuff. A lot of drum corps have been very creative, and it shows this season. A lot of real striking, really cool-looking drums. So, it was difficult to choose. And we found that with the nomination process. The nominations were all across the board, Everyone seemed to have a band in mind, but nobody seemed to agree. So whenever it come down to the final four, To be fair, these top 4 actually were the actual top 4. We didn't have to, do any mathematic jiggery-pokery because these 4 definitely came out on top. Enough of being cryptic, Rab. Let's get into it. Who made the final of Coolest Drums? Oh, who indeed? Well, picking up a nomination first of all, come on, it has to be North Stratton. Yeah, North Stratton and those bright yellow drums that you can see from the moon. Yeah, shout out to North Stratton. A lot of support out there for your very striking, very cool drums. There you go. Also receiving a nomination in here is Ravara. Yes, good number of people loving the drums from Ravara. And I have to say, a lot of them are absolutely gleaming. And Ravara are one of those drum corps where every drum absolutely polished. And you could see your face in them. It was ridiculous. It's how clean they are. I don't know. Anytime I had a drum corps, our drums are always bugging. But anyway, shout out to Ravara. Pristine, clean, very cool. Yes. Also receiving a nomination in here is Surla and District. Yeah, Surla and District have had a real good season this year. And yes, can't deny, they do play a very cool set of drums. If you haven't seen them, go and check out the photographs. Yeah, shout out to Surla. Very well looked after as well. Similar to Ravara in that regard. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to Surla. All right, our 4th nominee in here for coolest drums are St. Lawrence O'Toole. Yes, I think St. Lawrence gets nominated pretty much every year now at this point. Now, yeah, their drums this season, I can't deny, they were possibly one of my favorites this year. You know, just the chrome work and everything. And then, come on. Just very, very cool. All right. It does kind of exemplify what we're trying to put in this category. Just an all-round cool set of drums. And St. Lawrence definitely have that. So, yeah, 4 worthy nominees there. So, yeah, you'll be scratching your heads now at this point going, well, jickers, who do I vote for? Well, good luck. All right, let's fly on. The next category we have is Best Concert or Live Performance. All right, we had a lot to pick from. 2025 has been quite a busy year in the concert scene with a lot to consider. But we managed to narrow it down to a final 4. And here they are. Our finalists for Best Concert and Live Performance include Shots on Dykehead, Caledonia, and their big pre-Worlds concert called Solace. Yes, well done, Shots. Quite a night that was. Yeah, a moment in time. Some big moments, huge highlights, and some real heartfelt moments as well from the band. Just really fantastic. What a show. So yeah, worthy nominee. Also in here, we have Fife Police and their concert earlier on in the year called Dancing on the Beat. Yes, now again, massive big musical fireworks in there. And yeah, as the title suggests, loads of great dancing in there as well. So a visual spectacle as well. Yeah, Fife Police threw a massive show. And again, ourselves and the Rab Show team, we were there covering it. You can go and check out the videos if you are curious as to what we're talking about. So yeah, shout out to Fife Police. What a great show. Also receiving a nomination in here is Not a Pipe Band. Yeah, this is a first, I think, for this. We have the Ross Miller Band. Yes, and their gig that they had in stereo in Glasgow. Yeah, now, I believe this is a first for the Big Rab Show Awards, but a lot of you went to the Ross Miller gig in Glasgow. Yeah, just as Piping Live was kicking off. It was earlier on that week. I think it was the Monday, actually, of Piping Live, where Ross Miller took his band to the club called Stereo and absolutely tore the roof off the place. And we got so many good reports about it. Yeah, clearly a favourite of pipe banders who were there and caught that show. So yeah, congrats, Ross Miller, receiving a nomination in here for Best Concert or Live Performance. There you go. Also picking up a nomination in here for our 4th finalist we have is North Stratton and Decennium. Now, I could be absolutely pronouncing that incorrectly. Apologies. But yes, we were talking about this at the time where North Stratton were throwing this huge concert. And yeah, I heard lots of glowing reviews about it. Yeah. So Decennium from North Stratton receiving a nomination in here for Best Concert and Live Performance. Yeah. A wealth to choose from this year. You know, genuinely. There's a lot to consider there. All right, let's move on. We're now into a category that I know a lot of people are very keen to hear, and it's best social media. So let's put you out of your misery. Who made it through? Whoop, wrong button. Who made it through? Yeah, professional radio guy. Well, kicking things off, we have piping hot memes on Instagram. Yes, now I love this account. I've been following them now for a long time, and they have actually made me laugh out loud, embarrassingly, in public when I'm sitting scrolling on my phone, and then I would catch a meme, it's from the piping world, and some of them are absolutely hysterical. So, yeah, go and check them out. Piping hot memes on Instagram, receiving a social media nomination. There you are. Moving on, our next nominee in here we have is Josh's Piping Adventures on TikTok. Go on, Josh, you legend. Woohoo! Yeah, now if you haven't been following Josh's Piping Adventures, then you really should, because tons of great piping action, and he details his story throughout the piping world and what his ambitions are for the future. Whenever he goes and plays a competition, he talks about his experience and all of that. Such fascinating content. And he's also been doing quite a number of lives as well, where you can actually go and talk to him and drop him comments and stuff, asking questions. Really, really interesting. So shout out to Josh and his Piping Adventures on TikTok. Go and check them out. All right. Also receiving a nomination in here, we have Drumlock Pipe Band. Go on, the Drumlock. Yeah, quite a popular choice, this. They have quite a number of followers, actually, on their TikTok account. And this is the one that's receiving the specific nomination. Yeah, Drumlock Pipe Band on TikTok. Been very creative over there. And a lot of good skits and like TikTok dances and trends and stuff that you wouldn't think a pipe band would be getting involved in. But they make it so much fun. So, yeah, shout out to Drumlock. Very creative. And if you haven't checked them out on TikTok yet, yeah, shout out to Drumlock Pipe Band. Very, very cool. Also receiving a nomination in here for best social media, we have the Barbary Piper on Instagram. Woohoo! Yes, again, another Instagram account. But yes, I've been following the Barbary Piper now for ages. And again, with the funnies. Okay, I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're absolutely hilarious. And yeah, tons of really interesting posts as well. Just go and check them out. The Barbary Piper on Instagram. Yeah, there you are. So that's your 4 finalists there for best social media. Well done, everybody. Let's fly on for another hotly contested category, best band tent or gazebo. Who made it through? Okay. Yeah, now whenever I say this one was hotly contested, we received a wealth of nominations for this one. It wasn't our most popular category. That one's to come. But we did receive a lot for this one. So best band tent or gazebo. Our nominees are Uddingston Strathclyde. Yes. Now they do have quite an impressive tent. I have visited it myself. It's awesome. Okay. It is. Can't deny. It is so, so good. If you haven't visited it, then do make a point to check it out next season. Uddingston Strathclyde. There you are. Worthy nominee. Also nominee in here for best band tent or gazebo, we have Closkelt. Yes, Closkelt Pipe Band had such an amazing system. So yeah, shout out to Closkelt. What a great tent. And I don't know if we're going to see it this season after the news that broke, but hey, there you are, receiving a nomination in there. Definitely well deserved all the same. Moving on, we also have Burnt Island in Districts receiving a nomination for Best Band Tent and Gazebo. And I have it on good authority that there's so many people involved in setting up the camp of Burnt Island in Districts. A lot of people who put a lot of work in to make it a home from home. So, yeah, shout out to them. And, yeah, a lot of support there for Best Band Tent and Gazebo. Go on, the Burnt Island. Yoo-hoo! All right, also our 4th nominee in here for Best Band Tent or Gazebo, we have Texo, D-Side Caledonia. There you are. And again, I don't know, quite a stellar tent. If you've ever seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's well appointed. It looks nearly too comfortable to be at a pipe band competition. All right, I'll say that. Talk about home from home. I think the only thing they don't have is like a sofa and a telly. Maybe they do have a telly. I don't know. Maybe that stuff could wrap it wrong. But there you go. That's your 4 nominees in there for Best Band Tent or Gazebo. All right. Now, this next category, this is an interesting one. And again, we did receive a wealth of nominations in here, but let's get into it. It's Best Branch Award. Yes, did you believe that your branch deserves a Big Rab Show award? Well, who did you nominate? Well, our 4 finalists in here, we have the RSPBA, the Northern Ireland branch. Yes. Now, Northern Ireland branch have been in a bit of a state of flux this year, of course, with the new chairman and everything. And they've been making some changes, making some waves, and trying things. So, shout out to the Northern Ireland branch. Well done. We also have a nomination in here for the North of Scotland branch. Yes, again, similar to the Northern Ireland branch. Again, moving and shaking and trying little things differently. And the communication with members is definitely on the rise as well. So, shout out to the North of Scotland branch. We also have the Dundee, Perth and Angus branch being another nominee in here. Again, another popular choice, especially following the likes of, there's been plenty of big competitions in that area. Of course, did we have to mention one of our nominees for best venue? Perth for the Euros? Come on. Yeah, so this branch definitely putting the work in. And again, pushing some envelopes and trying some new things. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that seems to be the reason these folks are getting nominated here. They're trying things. Anyway, let's move on. Our 4th nominee for Best Branch Award is the Irish Pipe Band Association. Yes, the IPBA. I believe this is the first time they've received a nomination in here for Best Branch Award, but definitely a popular choice, especially after the likes of this year's All-Ireland Championships, where they certainly helped, I guess, the JAC, the Joint Committee, along with the Northern Ireland branch, they really pulled it out of the bag this year. All-Ireland Championships were an absolute success. And, that's no small part from the IPBA as well. So, there you go. That's your 4 nominees in there. The Northern Ireland branch, the North of Scotland branch, Dundee, Perth and Angus branch, and the Irish Pipe Band Association. There you go. All right, moving on. We are covering ground, man. We're covering ground. Let's fly on. We're about to get into one that I absolutely love, which is Best New Product or Innovation. Yes. This category I love every single year because, there's been so much innovation and things pushed forward in the bagpiping world. And new products, gadgets, gizmos. Who doesn't love that? I don't know. I'm a bit of a tech head myself. I love all that stuff. So this is the category for me. So let's get into our final 4 nominees then, shall we? And Best New Product or Innovation. Well, kicking things off, we have the KMQ drum pad phone case. Woo! Yeah, now I haven't actually seen one of these up close and personal yet. That's on me, but I do know a good number of drummers out there who have iPhones and all the rest. They do have these, and apparently they do work very well, and they really help with, the stick coordination because, you don't want to smack your phone one with a big flam someday. Yeah, so they do help with some hand coordination. So, shout out to the KMQ drum pad phone case. Very popular choice there. Moving on, our next new product or innovation nominee is the Aaron Smith pad mount. Woo! Now, this apparently is a 3D printed mount that you can use for your drum harness where you can add your drum pad to it. Yeah, so shout out to Aaron Smith in developing this. Now, I have not yet seen one. That's on me. But I do know a good number of you out there are using this right now. A lot of the drummers out there are probably nodding their head going, I know exactly what you're chatting about, Rab. They're class. So, this pad mount by Aaron Smith, very popular choice. So, there you go. Moving on, I believe this is a first for the Big Rab Show Awards for the Best New Product or Innovation. We have the Russell Essler Drumming Rogue Drum Pads. Now, I wanted to make sure I got that correct there. There you go. So, shout out to Russell Essler Drumming, otherwise known as RED, R-E-D. Russell Essler Drumming, and that was his Rogue drum pad. Now, this thing, I have checked it out, and it is absolutely bulletproof. Really nice to play on, though, I have to say. Very, very nice. And you get almost a drum feel from it. Yeah, and the projection you get from it too, very, very good. And I do know some have had some difficulties with it, with the Kevlar heads. Sometimes they would split or crack. well, they're so fast at giving you a replacement and all that. I don't know. Their customer service with this drum pad is just impeccable. So, yeah, shout out to the Russell Essler Drumming Rogue drum pad. Very popular choice there. Now, the reason I'm saying this is a first for the Big Rab Show Awards, because also making the top 4 is Russell Essler drumming again. This time for his backpack. Yeah. Now, I do think this is the first ever time that we've had one company but 2 products make it through to the Rab Show Awards final. So well done to Russell Essler Drumming. Very popular, but all drummers out there that really seem to love these products, both the Rogue drum pad and his backpack, which I know I'm a piper now, but even I want the backpack. It looks class. It's got little hidey holes for everything. And do you know the absolute godsend? And I know drummers are going to laugh at this, but the absolute godsend that is an actual pocket for your drum key. Oh, the angels are singing. There's somewhere to put my blinking drum key. Anyway, so yeah, shout out to Russell Essler Drumming and his nominations for the Rogue drum pad and the backpack, but also to Aaron Smith and the pad mount and to KMQ for his drum pad phone case. Very cool innovation there for drummers. Absolutely. All right, let's fly on. We're about to get into, well, the category that received the most nominations, and that is Best Beard. Who's made it through to the final? Who's going to make it through to the Best Beard 2025? Woo! I'm excited for this one. Can you tell? All right. Now, literally, we received thousands for this. And we also received quite a number of photographs as well. A lot of people were backing up their nomination with photographs of the actual beard themselves. As if to say, Rab, look at this impressive face of fur. Now, thank you to everyone who did take time to send actual photographs. We didn't need those. All we needed was your actual name and the band and who you were nominating. That was it, really. But we did appreciate the extra info. Thank you. But, right, this was one of the most popular categories. Don't know why, but everyone out there with a beard seems to want to win this. So who is in our final 4 for this year? Well, receiving our nomination, first of all, is Stuart Campbell. Woo! Go on, Stuart, you legend. Now, Stuart Campbell, of course, snare drummer with Uddingston Strathclyde and also Big Rab Show team member. Now, you can't call shenanigans, okay? I know some people will, but we did joke about this at Piping Live this year. Whenever we were at Rab Show Live, we kind of poked fun at Stuart a little bit and going, look at that beard. Yeah, that's impressive right there. Worthy of a nomination? And we just left it there. But hey, here he is. He's nominated for Best Beard. Go on, Stuart, you legend. Well done. Also receiving a nomination in here is a defending champion. Oh, yes. Gus Sickard is back again from Inverarian District. And a lot of people would say that his beard is the stuff of legend. It's the kind of thing that children get bedtime stories written about and everything. Once upon a time, there was a beard that Gus Sickard had. And it flew to the moon. Yeah. So shout out to Gus Sickard at receiving another nomination this year. Well done, Gus. Moving on, we also have Robert Grant from Texo, D-Side, Caledonia. Well done, Robert. Now, it's a good job I am in the piping scene, okay? Because a good number of you actually nominated Robert Grant using his nickname. Yeah. Now, I know his nickname. I know Robert. I know him. But I'm not about to mention his nickname live on air. Yeah, okay? But to everyone who did nominate him by his nickname, well, I knew exactly who you were talking about, and here he is. He's nominated now for Best Beard from Texo, D-Side, Caledonia. Well done, Robert. All right, moving on. Who is our 4th nominee? We have Hugh Conahan from Letterkenny and District. Go on, Hugh, you legend. Yeah. A very popular choice. I don't know what was going on, whether Hugh was actually running a campaign or not. but a lot of support for Hugh Conahan. So, yeah, well done, Hugh, from Letterkenny and District. A very handsome face of fur you have, sir. And here you are, nominated for Best Beard. So there you go. That was the one everyone wanted to hear, apparently. The 4 finalists for Best Beard: Stuart Campbell, Gus Sickard, Robert Grant, and Hugh Conahan. There you are. So get voting. Who's your favourite? Who's your favourite? All right, now, don't worry. We will mention about the voting again. And, of course, we will do a full summary of who is nominated in each category. We'll run through them all. But before we do, let's get into our next category then. The Big Rab Show Tone Award. Yes, 2025 has been a good year for sound, arguably. But who has got your nomination for Best Tone? Well, receiving our 4 nominees in here will be Inverary and District. Of course, our current reigning world champions. Can't deny it. Inverary had a big sound this year and absolutely deserve it of a nominee in there. Here you are. Also in there we have The Machine, the Field Marshal Montgomery. Yes, now we jokingly call them The Machine, but only because they make it look easy. And we know it's not. But yeah, Field Marshal Montgomery had that iconic FM tone this year. And could just switch it on like a light switch. Just tone straight away. And it just hit you right in the teeth. It's scary almost. For anyone that's seen FM in person this season in particular, they were, I don't know, just a tone machine, man. There you go. Moving on, also receiving a nomination this year is Shots on Dykehead, Caledonia. Yeah, I cannot disagree with this. I absolutely was blown away with Shots sound this year. Absolutely finding tone. Really sweet chanter tone. And just that thick wall of like drone loveliness. That's how I want to describe it. So yeah, shout out to Shots, receiving a nomination in here for Tone Award. Also receiving a nomination in here is Police Scotland Fife. Yeah, now, honestly, there's been some competitions this year where Fife have been blowing a big sound and have really kind of surprised me. You know, I was like listening, who's that? And then you walked like, whoa, that's Fife. Whoa. I'm sure you might have heard that actually. And my World's on the Ground report, where I did, whoa, did you hear Fife? So, yeah, worthy of a Big Rab Show Tone Award this year, I think. There you are. So that's your final 4 in there. Inverary, Field Marshal, Shots, and Fife. There you are. All right, moving on to our next category then, Band of the Year. Yes, now this one is an interesting category. This one, it's not just for the Grade 1 big guns. It's not just for the bands who win the Worlds, right? We did explain this in previous Rab shows that Band of the Year could be for any pipe band out there that perhaps are involved in community work or, you know, exemplify what you believe a perfect pipe band or a good pipe band should be. Yeah, so by way of a precursor, let's get into our final 4 then for Band of the Year. Picking up a nomination is Tullylagan, Grade 4B. Yo, go on, the Lagan. Yes, I do know they are my pipe band, and I know it does sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet here, pardon the pun. But yeah, seemed to be we received quite a number of nominations from across the scene. So yeah, thank you, everyone. That really chuffed. I don't know. I'm kind of talking on behalf of the band now. I shouldn't do that. But hey, I'm chuffed for it. So yeah, there you go. Tullylagan, nominated for Band of the Year in Grade 4B. Brilliant. Moving on, our next nominee in here, of course, is our current world champions, Inverary and District. There you are. Yes, of course. Can't deny it. You know, they've had a stellar season this year. Of course, lifting the big yin as well, being one of the particular highlights of their season. But yeah, Band of the Year nominee. Also receiving a nominee in here is Shots on Dykehead, Caledonia. Yes, again, another popular choice, of course. After having such a stellar season, again, we mentioned their tone this year, but also the big pre-Worlds concert that they held as well definitely was a popular choice with piping fans. So yeah, shout out to Shots on Dykehead, nominated for Band of the Year. Also, our 4th nominee in here we have is Police Scotland Fife. Yeah, they're getting nominated quite a number of times, aren't they? Quite a busy band, aren't they? But yeah, honestly, they've had such a good season this year. Continuing to build on previous year's successes, Police Scotland Fife are certainly finding their feet. And I do believe they have developed that musical voice now. And that tone, as we mentioned earlier, something special. Yeah. So there you go. That's your 4 finalists in there for Band of the Year. We have Tullylagan, Grade 4B. Yippee. We have Inverary and District, our world champions, Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia, and Police Scotland Fife. There you are. All right. Now, before anyone starts calling shenanigans again, that honestly, it's a game of mathematics. I've explained the nomination process now ad nauseum. It's not me who picks them, okay? It's simply a numbers game. And all of these bands and products and things that we got in our finalists here are all down to you guys. The nominations that we received in were all counted, tabulated, and verified. And these are the ones that we landed on for our final 4. It's all a game of mathematics. There you are. All right. Let's get into our final category then. The Big Rab Show Legend Award. Yes, who do you believe was legend enough to be able to lift a Rab Show award this year? Quite a number of legends to choose from in the piping scene, no doubt. But who did you pick? All right, our 4 finalists are Henry Spencer. Yes, Henry Spencer from Drumlock Pipe Band, of course, otherwise known as the Kid Piper. Yes, if you haven't checked out Henry on socials and stuff, well, where have you been? He's quite famous. So yeah, shout out to Henry Spencer, receiving a Legend Award nomination. Well done, Henry. Moving on, we have Brian McMahon from the IPBA. Yes, from the Irish Pipe Band Association. Brian, obviously, a very popular choice there. Yeah, I don't need to explain who he is because you know who he is. Yeah. Shout out to Brian. Well done. Also receiving a Big Rab Show Legend Award, we have Adrian Smyton from Tullylagan. Yo! Go on, Adrian, you legend. Well, you've been nominated as a legend now. There you go. Well, you haven't lifted the award yet. You've only just been nominated, so now the work starts, I guess, Adrian. But yeah, Adrian, of course, is a member of the Big Rab Show team. But yeah, he's been nominated by popular demand, receiving quite a number of nominations from across the scene. So yeah, just wanting to mention Adrian as a particular legend. There you go. Shout out to Adrian. Also receiving a nomination in here for the Big Rab Show Legend Award, we have Jack Lee. Of course. It was a no-brainer that Jack Lee, after stepping down from his role with the Simon Fraser University, it's an end of an era for SFU Pipe Band, and he did receive a wealth of nominations as a bona fide legend. There you are. So we have 4 legends in there looking for your vote. We have Henry Spencer, Brian McMahon, Adrian Smyton, and Jack Lee. There you are. Well, folks, the Big Rab Show Awards, that's your finalists. Yes, so voting has now commenced. You can go to thebigrabshow.com. You can click on that big image that says click here to vote now and go through each one of our categories. Select your favourite, go all the way down to the bottom of the form, provide us with an email address and click submit. And that's it. Your vote will wing its way off to our mailbox. And if there is an email address, then it can be verified that you're an actual human and not a bot. Yeah, and then your vote will be counted. And we will be announcing the winners of the Big Rab Show Awards later on. Yeah. Right, let's summarise our categories on all of our finalists. And congratulations on receiving your nominations, by the way. Let's get into it. Most Improved Band. We have Tullylagan, Grade 4B. The Uplanders Pipe Band. Then we have New Ross and District. And Drumlock. Yes, for Best Tenor Flourishing, we have Inverary and District, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, Police Scotland Fife Pipe Band. We also have Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia. Yes, that's Best Tenor Flourishing. Moving to Best Venue then, we have Glasgow for the Worlds, Perth for the Euros, Derry/Londonderry for the All-Ireland Championships, and Dumbarton for the Scottish. There you are. Best Dressed Pipe Band category then, we have the Field Marshal Montgomery, the Royal Army of Oman, Glasgow Sky Association Pipe Band, and Clocker and District. Yes. Moving on, we have Best Competitive Band Medley Performance. We have Inverary and District and their Dream Valley medley on the Saturday at the Worlds. We have the Field Marshal and their tribute medley at the All Irelands. We have Texo, Deeside Caledonia and their performance at Dumbarton. Then we have Shots and Dykehead Caledonia and their World Championship medley on the Saturday. Yeah, wealth of great music there. Well done. Moving on, Coolest Bass Drum. Our nominees are Uplanders Pipe Band, followed by Drumlock. We have Glasgow Sky Association Pipe Band and Clocker and District. Yes. Our Drum Major of the Year finalists then are Louise Smighton from Closkelt, Charlotte Adamson from the Major Sinclair Memorial, Holly Gracie from Clocker and District, and Jamie Couples from Ravara. There you are. Moving on to Coolest Drums then, our 4 finalists are North Stratton, Ravara, Surla and District, and St. Lawrence O'Toole. There you go. A lot of cool drums. Moving on, Best Concert or Live Performance. We have Shots and Dykehead Caledonia for their Solace concert. We have Fife Police and Dancing on the Beat. We have Ross Miller Band and their gig at the Stereo venue in Glasgow. We have North Stratton and their show Decennium. Yes. Moving on to Best Social Media then, we have Piping Hot Memes from Instagram. We have Josh's Piping Adventures from TikTok. We have Drumlock Pipe Band on TikTok. We have the Barbary Piper on Instagram. That's your 4 finalists for Best Social Media. Moving on, Best Band Tent or Gazebo. We have Uddingston Strathclyde, followed by Closkelt Pipe Band. We have Burnt Island and District, and Texo, Deeside Caledonia. There you are. Moving on, we have the Best Branch Awards. We have the RSPBA Northern Ireland Branch, RSPBA North of Scotland Branch, RSPBA Dundee, Perth and Angus Branch, and the IPBA, the Irish Pipe Band Association. Alright, moving on, we have Best New Product or Innovation. We have the KMQ Drum Pad Phone Case. There you are. We have the Aaron Smith 3D printed pad mount. And then we have 2 nominations for the Russell Essler Drumming. One for the Rogue Drum Pad and one for the Backpack. There you go. Moving on to Best Beard. We have Stuart Campbell from Uddingston Strathclyde. We have Gus Sickard from Inverary and District. We have Robert Grant from Texo, Deeside, Caledonia. And then we have Hugh Conaghan from Letterkenny and District. Moving on, we have the Big Rab Show Tone Awards. Our nominees are Inverary and District, Field Marshal Montgomery, Shots and Dykehead Caledonia, and Police Scotland Fife. Yes. Moving on, as we mentioned just there now, Band of the Year. Nominees are Tullylagan and Grade 4B, Inverary and District, Shots and Dykehead Caledonia, and Police Scotland Fife. Yes. And then our Legend Award, we have Henry Spencer, the Kid Piper, Brian McMahon from the IPBA, we have Adrian Smighton from Tullylagan, and Jack Lee from the Simon Fraser University. That's not a bad list, is it, folks? Alright, so get yourself along to thebigrabshow.com right now and place your votes. All of these respective finalists, none of them have won anything right now. Yes, making it through to the final is as good as qualifying for the Worlds, but now you have to play twice. Alright, so now the work begins. If you did manage to make it through to the final, congratulations. Genuinely, we did receive thousands of nominations this year, so if your name has been read out today as finalist in the Rab Show Awards, you deserve a massive pat on the back. Well done. But yeah, the work does start now. You don't now need to go and gather up all the votes possible in the hope that we'll be reading out your name as eventual winner of Big Rab Show Awards 2025. Yes. Oh, now, in the lead up to the announcement of our winners, we've got some surprises along the road. That's all I'm going to say. But today, there's been enough excitement with announcing all of our finalists. But as further Big Rab shows progress, we'll be getting into it. my advice is to stay tuned. If you aren't already subscribed to us, wherever you're listening to us right now, then please do click on that subscribe button or follow wherever you are so you'll get notified of another episode whenever it uploads. Of course, be following us on our social media as well, as we will be announcing little special thingies along the way. So, yeah, if you're going to be voting right now, and you should be at the point of listening to this, go along, bigrabshow.com. And yeah, we will be announcing the winners of the Big Rab Show Awards in a few weeks, in a wee while. All right, we will be talking more about that, of course, on next week's show. There you are, folks. Massive thank you to everyone who did take time to submit nominations. If your chosen nominee did not make it through, now this is vitally important. If your nominee did not make it through, it is simply down to mathematics. Your chosen nominee did not receive enough nominated support to push them mathematically through to the final four. It's down to the popular choice. Now, I don't know how many times I need to explain it, but I feel I need to again, because there is that sort of perception out there that I pick the winners. Absolutely not. This is 100% driven by you folk, the bagpiping world. You guys nominate your finalists. You guys vote for your favorite. I have absolutely no part to play in this. Genuinely, when I was putting this together, there were some surprises in there. I was not expecting Tully Lag Pipe Band to get a nominated for Best Band or Band of the Year. What? Yeah, that knocked me over. That was really cool. So thank you. But yeah, other surprises in there as well. We'll talk more about that next week's show. But yeah, a lot of very cool nominations in there. A lot for food for thought, I guess, for you guys to consider. So yeah, give it some thought and drop your votes in as soon as you can. thebigrabshow.com. That's where you go. All right, folks, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. It's been kind of a bittersweet one, I guess, you know, with some bad news in the piping scene, and things have been a bit down, I guess, ever since. So, yeah, we're hoping that the Rab Show Awards will give something a bit more positive to focus on, a bit of fun, I guess. And as I say, we've got some little juicy surprises over the course of the next few weeks as we're going through the voting stages. And, yeah, just stay tuned. Everyone, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thank you all for downloading this week and each and every week. Don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing over here, talking about what we know and love to be the music, the great Highland bagpipe and its people. That's another podcast in the can, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, I'll see you all again. All the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.